Welcome to the Dawgs Table. Get access to special guests, anyone can join the Dawgs Table. Find the link to join the show in the comments when we go live every Tuesday on YouTube, on Facebook, and everywhere on the BIGPLAY network. Here's your hosts.
All right. Welcome to the Dawgs Table. I'm one of your hosts, Craig Fountain, here with Ryan Angelo. How are you doing tonight, Ryan?
I'm okay, buddy. How are you doing? Happy Tuesday to you.
Okay is a good way to put it. It's a good way to put it. If you're just tuning in, we are the Dawgs Table. If this is your first time here, we are a Cleveland Browns roundtable discussion show. Anybody can join. If you're coming from Twitter, it's kind of like Twitter Spaces, but we do it video. We put a link in the comments, and you can join and talk with us. If you would prefer to just chat with us through the comments on Facebook and YouTube, you can just comment, and we'll display it here just like that. You can interact with us, tell us we're wrong, tell us we're right, whatever you want to do. Justin, thanks for joining the show. We do have a special guest tonight, but before we bring him in, I just want to say we are part of the BIGPLAY network. We are brought to you by Labatt Blue Light and Remax Edge Realty, the JC Group. And our special guest is down here in the dog pen, as we like to call it. D, thanks for joining the show. Appreciate you coming on in. Give us a like, give us a heart, or what, depending on what platform you're on, give us a retweet if you're on Twitter. We would certainly appreciate it. I'm going to bring in our special guest now. Welcome to the show, Mr. Brad Ward of the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast and USA Today, the Browns Wire. How are you doing tonight, Brad?
I'm good, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on the show. It is a bittersweet day because we are going to recap what happened this past weekend, but we are also moving on. So that's the bitter and the sweet. Heartbreaking loss for the Cleveland Browns this past weekend. It felt really comfortable heading into the last 2 minutes of this with a 30-17 lead, right? So, essentially 2 touchdowns. We had a missed extra point that was tough. Ryan, what happened? I'm going to start with you. What happened when we went up 30-17? What did you do, sir?
So I mean, if you don't know, I have season tickets. So I was at the game. Minute 44, Chubb goes in, scores a touchdown, place goes crazy. And I mean, essentially pretty much emptied out. I mean, it was, massive Browns fans leaving the stadium. I was one of them. I was like, hey, it's just great. I'll see you guys Thursday. It's over. It's in the books. Right. So we're walking, 2-3 blocks down the road, the middle of the city, and with just masses of Browns fans. Like it emptied out like it was the end of the game almost. And some guy in front of me turns around and he goes, the Browns just lost. And I'm like, yeah, that's funny. And everybody around us kind of just laughed at him. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, no, I'm serious. The Browns just freaking lost this game. And I'm like, how? Like, I was perplexed. I was like, how is that even possible? So I look at my phone and it says 31-30, and I'm just like, is this like some kind of joke? Is somebody playing a joke on me? So like, the rest of the way people are just like, oh my God, the Browns just lost. They just lost. Oh my God. And, Jets fans are just laughing at us. And we're walking, to the parking garage, and in the elevator, we're just telling people, I'm like, the people were happy still. Like, they didn't know. And I'm just like, the Browns lost. Did you guys know that the Browns just lost? And they're just like, what? Like, it's the same thing as I went through. It was terrible. It was a horrible experience. But I think I'd have been a much more pissed off if I would have seen it evolve in person.
At least you didn't have to watch it.
Yeah. So it was almost like, oh, they won to me because they were winning when I left. So
Brad, again, if you're just joining the show, Brad is with the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast, and he's with USA Today, the Browns Wire. Brad, run me through your thoughts going through this game, and then ultimately through the final few moments of this game, what you were thinking and what your reaction is to this.
Yeah, so positives, Brissett played better than I thought I would ever see him play, probably in the 11 games. So that was fantastic. And then the play calling and the offensive game plan was fantastic. I thought that the offense all around was very, very good. So I was happy with all those things. When Nick Chubb scored, I thought the game was over. I was celebrating, same thing. But then I actually watched on TV as the collapse happened. Now, the collapse is just beyond me. I mean, I've spent 3 days talking about this, and it's they go into coverage that Joe Flacco, let's be honest, Flacco kind of carved him up the whole second half, so it didn't just start on the last drive. They really struggled in the secondary. When Clowney went out, they stopped getting a pass rush, A. B, Garrett Wilson had a coming out party on the secondary that's supposed to be elite. All second half. Now, they still were up 2 touchdowns because of the run game, and Nick Chubb basically, just dominated. And so then we're looking at this situation, and Joe Flacco goes back. The Browns, once again, reminiscent of week 1. Everybody else on the field, now we realize that we've gotten it broken down by professional defensive backs and whatnot. The rest of the defense is in cover 3. Denzel Ward thinks they're in cover 2 for whatever God knows reason, and it plays kind of the hinge position where he has his ass to the boundary, and he looks, and he kind of carries the receiver to the 50-yard line and then he lets him go. My issue is, even if you think you're in cover 2, there's no other receiver in the screen or even 20 yards around him to hold him there, guys. And he can see up. I mean, you're taught to play the quarterback at that point, right? So he's looking back. He can see JOK in the flat. He should be able to recognize that the rest of the defense is in cover 3. And in that situation, you're already carried the receiver 15 yards. Run with him down the field. There's nobody running a route in front of him. There's nobody keeping him in that zone. So I think he just blacked out or brain fart, whatever it is. But either way, he was in the wrong coverage and he misplayed the situation. Run with the guy. There's nobody behind him. Delpit's not back there. You think he has safety help. He doesn't. Nobody's in the screen. It makes it even worse. They're running at like 60% behind him. They're not even running all out to try to catch him. They just gave up on the play, him and Delpit, jogging, right? Corey Davis goes in, scores. That's infuriating. I've watched the onside kick multiple times. For whatever they did, they called timeout. Stefanski claims he told them that they're kicking it to the left side. Their alignment was jacked up. I'm just going to say, Prefer screwed this up. So he lines up John Johnson over the ball. That's fine, right? Because they're afraid of the kicker kicks it 10 yards forward and jumps on it himself. So, but what that does is it takes somebody out of blocking, right, on the sides. And they played 2 guys deep. So I don't know why you would do that, but what it does is when you kick the ball to the left to Cooper, the guy on the outside gets free run. Nobody gets a body on him. Nobody touches him. He goes 10 yards as fast as he can right into Amari Cooper, and it's a great onside kick that bounces 3 times before he gets to him. Cooper fails to charge it, which he should have charged it and caught it after the second bounce. But it was kind of a tweener. It was a really good kick. It was an exceptional play. But normally when you set up your special teams like that, you should have a body on everybody coming to get the ball. The way they had it set up, JOK comes up, David Bell doesn't block anybody, but it doesn't matter because the guy that gets free run is on the far sideline, so the great kick lines it up perfectly for him to run right into Cooper and knock the ball loose. Misplayed on a number of levels, right? So then they get the ball, and now the Browns are in the softest defense ever, and they let Flacco throw short passes to the sideline multiple times. They get out of bounds. They move right down the field to a perfect spot in the field right around the 17, 20-yard line for the route that Garrett Wilson ran. On that play, I've talked about it on my show. I've written about it on Twitter. Delpit goes back. He's the safe, too high safety. He goes back and to the boundary before he takes one step forward as Garrett Wilson made. I mean, they were scared of Wilson at that point. Like, he was scared of him going to the corner. Instead, he just goes behind JOK and he's wide open. It's a good route, but he should be coming forward on that play. And he's late and his reaction is slow, and they're playing scared and soft at that point.
All right, so we'll get to some
Ball
of the
game.
positives. You know, what positives we can take away from this game. Not a whole lot, but Brissett's one of them. Give me your opinion, Brad. I know my opinion, and I'll give mine after you and Ryan give yours. Give me your opinion on Nick Chubb not going down in front of the goal line, you know, to keep possession of the ball.
Honestly, I mean, I may offend some people here, but I think the people that are saying that are completely revisionist. It never crossed my mind. I don't think it crossed anybody's mind at the time. You go in and score and go up 2 touchdowns under 2 minutes. That's ball game 99.9% of the time, which was what their win probability was at ESPN at that moment. That's the level of collapse we're talking about. So, no, I don't think that he should have gone down, and I would tell him to score again. If you fart around with the ball at the end zone line with under 2 minutes to go and only up 1 score, you're asking for trouble as it is. It's fine, whatever. I don't care. Just go in the end zone and score because you should win the game. That's ball game. It's over. That's it. You shouldn't have to worry about it. So revisionists to go back and say, yeah, well, they could have knelled on it 3 times and ran out the clock. That's fine, but who thinks of that when you're up 2 touchdowns under 2 minutes? It never even should have come into the equation. It will now, but that's only because
I'm with Brad on it. I mean, they call, you know, they have the saying for a reason. It's the nail in the coffin, right? You're going in and putting that nail in the coffin by scoring that second touchdown under 2 minutes. You know, you're in any level of football. You're saying we've got this game. You know what I mean? We play smart defense from this point. We don't let anybody behind us, and the game's over. Let them throw dink and dunk in front of us, and you know they're not going to score 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes if we play, you know, our assignments on defense. So I mean, like you said, it's I mean, 99.9% of the time that's ball game. I would never tell somebody not to score. I'm definitely taking the points because what happens on the next play if they fumble a snap or something like that and it gets run back for a touchdown, then you know game's over anyway. I would rather have a 2-score lead versus a 1. So I mean, it doesn't make any sense. People that say that it's just full of crap to me.
Yeah, I agree with Brad also, and you know it was in a very literal sense 99.9% chance of victory at that point. At no point since 2001. In a game between the Chicago Bears and Cleveland Browns has a play like this ever mattered. It has not mattered. There have been a lot of games played since then. I'm curious to know maybe before that, how long it was before that. So you can rag on Chubb for situational awareness or, you know, things like that. But again, revisionist history, like Brad said. We are if you're blaming Chubb for this, I don't know if,
in my opinion, if you're blaming Chubb for this, you don't know football because that just should never happen. That's should never happen. Game. Yeah, it should never happen. So,
you know, there's some fallout from this, right? So,
yeah,
press conferences come up. Nick Chubb shoulders the blame, which he didn't have to.
No.
He didn't have to.
Crap.
He shouldn't have even honored, honestly, Craig, in my opinion, he shouldn't have even honored that question. He
Nope.
did himself a disservice by honoring that question, and so did Stefanski, I think.
Yeah.
I'm with you, and it's in his nature. You need psychotherapy if you blame Chubb. I know a gal. I think she's a psychiatrist
Yes.
or a psychologist. But yeah, it's one of those things where he said, you know what, I could have done it. It's on me. Whatever. Stefanski said, you know what, it's on me. I'm the coach. I should have told him to go down. Amari Cooper, he took responsibility as a team member, just as a whole. And then you have Denzel Ward and Grant Delpit playing it wasn't my fault, it was somebody
victim
else's
card.
fault
That's
game.
what they did. Say it. They played the victim card on Twitter.
Sure. And JOK, I want to put out there that JOK was pretty, good about it, because they asked him about the booing and stuff. And there was a lot of noise about Myles Garrett saying the fans shouldn't boo us and things like that. Brad, what do you make of Grant Delpit and Denzel Ward refusing to take into consideration any accountability for what happened and pointing fingers?
So I got done earlier today. I recorded my show for the day, and the title of it is, "Are the Browns Soft?" And my question is based around what you're talking about, Craig. The reaction to this type of a situation where Stefanski, and since Barry and Stefanski have been there, they've been very buttoned up in the media. Their players have been generally buttoned up with the exception of Baker Mayfield from time to time, right? But other than that, nothing really gets out in the media. There's really no bickering in the media. It's all been pretty buttoned up. They keep things close to the vest. Nothing gets leaked. Bickering in the media, placing blame on each other in the media is crap. It's total crap. It makes them look unprofessional, and it makes them look soft. It would have been so refreshing for Denzel Ward to go up there and say, I screwed up. My bad. It's on me. Delpit says the same thing. John Johnson also kind of deflected blame. He sat this is a story, right? In the locker room. He wouldn't give an interview, said that he has no filter, sat there for 35 minutes, and then thought that he had calmed down enough to do an interview, but then he made this comment about sending and receiving and whatnot, right? So he's talking about hand signals and things like that on the field that aren't, it's more about receiving, he said, than it is the sending. So somebody's not getting the call, right? And this is 2 weeks in a row where half the field or one player is running a different play than the rest of the defense. So this is a problem that's reoccurred. They said it would get fixed. It didn't get fixed. Now it cost you a game, and you're up there pointing the finger at everybody else. Myles Garrett as well, playing the victim card, talking about fans booing instead of the disgrace that you're a captain of this defense, you're the face of this defense, and instead what did you want, a golf clap from the crowd or a quiet murmur as you left the field? That's ridiculous. You should expect booing, and you should not be addressing it at all. All of these things make the Browns look soft.
Brian, you brought up that you're disappointed in the way Myles Garrett handled this. Give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, listen, you're a professional football player. You're there to play football. I know you got feelings, but, when you lay a complete dumpster fire egg like that in front of your home fans, you're damn right they're going to boo. And if I was a player, I would say, you know what? If I had paid that much money to come watch me play and I did that in front of you, I would probably boo too. Like, you're a grown man. That kind of crap is not supposed to happen in the National Football League or at any level of football. Like I said, any level of football, you go up 14 points or 13 points with less than 2 minutes in the game. You're telling every DB, listen, the only thing that beats us here is a touchdown. Don't let anybody behind you, period. You know what I'm saying? So it's just such a simple thing. And it's been a reoccurring issue with this team. I think it's a culture problem. And I don't understand why it goes from regime to regime, but there's always bickering in the media. There's always bickering on social media. There's always people deflecting and taking offense to fans calling them out. It just happens every season. And this has been an ongoing issue with this Joe Woods defense is they're not consistent. They weren't consistent last year until the second half of the season, and they haven't been good this year. So, you can't complain about it. Like, it's your job. That's what you're paid to do. Like, if I'm at work, I don't do my job and I get fired for it, I'm not going to yell at my coworkers and other people that are in the office because I didn't do my job. Like, it doesn't make sense. Take responsibility. You're a grown man. Take responsibility and say, we screwed up. We apologize. It'll be better next game. That's it.
And JOK had it right in his press conference. He said, you know what? They booed. It's tough love, and that's really what it is. We're not rooting against the Browns. We're there to root for them. Right. A lot of people spend their hard-earned money to go watch the team. And, I'm sure everybody's seen the clip of Jim Donovan giving his thoughts. And he sums it up better than anybody else possibly could, in my opinion, which is, what did he say? If this was a Broadway show, it would have been canceled the next day. Mm-hmm. So you got to put a better product out on the field. Brad, I've seen some rumblings about whether or not Stefanski or whether or not the defense was getting plays from the sideline or from the green dot, and whether or not the same green dot. All right. So the green dot is who has the earpiece on defense, right? So they're calling the play in. The green dot, if you see it on the helmet, he's the guy getting the play. All right. It's not always the same guy, from what I understand. And is that the root of the communication issues? Is this a preparation issue? Who's this on? Is it on Joe Woods? Give me your thoughts on this, Brad.
I mean, I think it's on everybody, right? Like, so it's on Joe Woods, because you're in charge of these guys, right? So, like, you should have had this drilled out. Like, and I'm going to say this, but this really doesn't go to the root of it. Like, I've seen enough Jacob Phillips at the mic. Like, I'm good. It's not preseason anymore. They're a better football team with Anthony Walker at the mic. So why is Jacob Phillips still coming in for him? I don't think he needs a blow. I think they're just trying to, like, see his upside or whatever. But, like, that experiment's done for me. That should have been done in the preseason. You're playing games that matter. Play your best players. When JOK and Anthony Walker are on the field at the same time, they've been tremendous together. Walker's having a heck of a first two games. I saw a statistic where it said Walker and JOK gave up a combined 37 yards in the game on Sunday in coverage. That's tremendous for linebackers. So I get Jacob Phillips has upside, but when you run him in to be the mic, your normal green dot, Anthony Walker, is off the field. So right there, you're mixing up communication and changing what should be routine into different other things. Another thing that they've done that I wasn't a fan of and I questioned before the season, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but Greg Newsome, who was fantastic in the boundary, you've now moved into the nickel. I have a problem from a PFF point of view on that, in that you take a valued position with high draft capital. The outside corner is valued much more highly than an inside corner. Just look at how much they make, right? So if I'm Newsome's agent, I'm making notes of this, A. But B, more importantly to the Browns, instead of running a nickel onto the field when they go into nickel, they actually run Emerson onto the field to the boundary and slide Newsome inside, which is confusing as well, because now you're asking him to play two separate positions. So is this really, like, ideal? No, it's not. I don't think they've handled it ideally Joe Woods-wise, but either way, when you make a call, whether it be to the green dot or from the sideline, you're a professional. You should know where the call's coming from and make sure you know what it is before the play starts. Like, we're talking about one of the most shit talk. I don't know if I can cuss on the show.
Absolutely.
The most shit talking secondaries in the league, right? Like, how funny is that they talk so much shit to the opponent, but they can't communicate to each other? Like, it's absurd. So I blame everybody. Everybody.
Right.
All right, so Craig Foster pointed something out here. The players held a players-only meeting today. Did anybody else hear that? I did. Yeah. Actually, Tom Withers of the Associated Press tweeted this out today that they had held a players-only meeting. Ryan says he doesn't care. I really don't care either.
Why do you get to have a players meeting to be motivated to do your job appropriately? It's stupid.
And I'm with you in a sense. I don't know that only meetings are anything other than just an indictment that there is a problem.
There's a problem.
There's a problem in the locker room.
Exactly.
Yes.
Getting Baker Mayfield out didn't fix whatever rifts were in the locker room. There's either new ones or the same ones. You know, they say when you break a bad habit, let's say Baker Mayfield was a problem in the locker room. You break a bad habit, you generally replace it with another one. There's another rift. I don't know if it was here before he left or not, but there is something going on. I don't know if there's any real good examples or if there's a way to even know, but I've never heard somebody say, man, thank God they had that players only meeting. Like that fixed everything.
Never.
You know, it never. Yeah. You know, it's probably
it's a sign of trouble.
It's only more public finger pointing, probably, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's all it is. I mean, it's a combination of two issues. It's a combination of scheme issues. It's a combination of coaching problems, and then also it's a combination of the players just not executing. For example, like I'm not a professional, obviously. I talk on a podcast, right? I mean, it is what it is. But I don't like how the Browns continuously play off coverage all the time. They have Greg Newsome, they have Denzel Ward that are, you know, known for playing extremely good man-to-man coverage and constantly play 15 yards off the ball. And I don't understand that. I think Joe Woods relies too much on Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett getting pressure on the quarterback. And I think that affects the way that he calls football games. So that's where I go with my reasoning on that. I think he relies too much on the defensive line to get pressure, and he plays too soft a coverage. But then at the same time, it's a player issue. You have to execute. You have to know your job. Like I said, in that type of situation, you know that the only thing it's going to beat you is touchdowns. So, I mean, I put a tweet out during the game. I think it was a blown coverage. And I was like, I think it's hilarious when NFL defensive backs like always look at somebody else when someone scores on them. They're like, oh, what the hell? Because you guys know what coverages you're supposed to run. Like I said, if you're executing your job, you're going to know I screwed up on that. Why am I looking? It's like they're always trying to like, I cannot believe you screwed me out of that, letting that touchdown go. You know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't make sense. They're always pointing fingers at each other. Like it's just a combination of a bunch of crap that's screwing that defense.
You know, we brought this up last week, right? Like, I specifically said this about Grant Delpit. Like, if I have to see him on the field like this, pointing
again
with both of his hands to another player,
right?
I mean, come on. Like, you know, I understand that each of them have to be in their own respective positions and do their jobs, but this is where there's a disconnect as a unit.
It's like you're the safety, you're the last line of defense. If someone gets past you and scores, that's on you. Like if they're running past you and you're the last guy in the defense, like they should know that, oh, this guy's going to score because I just let him run by me. Like it's hilarious to me that they turn around and look at the corners like, why did you screw me on that? You know, it's like, you know, you're the last guy. If somebody gets past the corner and they're not being covered, just go get them. Like, it's not hard.
Yeah, the play that comes to mind is the Breece Hall touchdown right out of the backfield where he goes and they're all looking at each other and pointing at each other. And
3 of them.
to be honest, that's on Denzel as well, who had a really rough day, as you are not supposed to reroute. This was actually pointed out by Richard Sherman, who is from the Legion of Boom, who is what Joe Woods' scheme is based around, is that Seattle cover 3. So he would know, right? And he's like, you don't reroute somebody in the red zone because the field is so condensed that you don't need to. Yeah. It was reiterated by Tyvis Powell, also a professional defensive back. So Denzel had a rough day there on that. But once again, pointing at everybody else, looking at each other. This is happening all the time in the secondary. It's you know, you mentioned, Ryan, about the off coverage, and here's the thing I've learned to accept about Joe Woods is Joe Woods, in most of the NFL, as offenses have the advantage, you have to be able to play zone. So, like, you have to be able to do it. Most teams are going to be in zone like 75% of the time. There's time for man-to-man, and there's time for press coverage. But the thing, Joe Woods is a zone guy. He is. He's cover 4. He's cover 3 based. It's a lot of a zone, and it's a lot of dime if he can get into it, right? But like with that, his core philosophy is don't give up the big play. I can live with you sitting 15 yards off the ball if you're going to make the team drive 12, 14 plays down the field, because his belief is that during that long drive, we're going to turn you over, you're going to make a mistake, or we're going to get off the field on third down. But if you give up the big play, you're screwed, because then what are you doing? I mean, you're in off coverage and you're giving up the big play, which is the total problem here. If it would be different if they were up playing press man and getting beat deep all the time, but they're not. They're in off coverage and they're playing zone and they're getting beat for the big play in the biggest moments of the game.
Yep, agreed.
All right. So Barry says time to go find Bodden and Gary Baxter. I don't know about that. RIP Gary Baxter's knees. That was one play, 2 ACLs, 2 MCLs, a prized free agent signing that we didn't quite get to experience. Jose said, I messed up at work today, tried blaming it on somebody else, didn't work. Listen, and you know what? This is where I think egos get involved, right? Because PR 101, and they talk to these guys about it. You give them coach speak, you give them player speak. We have words for those. Player speak is a term for a reason. When they ask you stuff, either just give a non-answer that's an answer, or just say something that's palatable for whoever's asking the question. In this case, it was, we need to play better as a group, or you're right, I could have done something better on that play. Not, wasn't me. Don't look at me. And Denzel Ward went a step further, right? He retweeted somebody today saying, I didn't give up 100 yards. I was only targeted one time. Like, get your facts straight. So there's something here, and I'm not comfortable with it.
That's culture, right? Isn't that a culture problem?
That is a culture problem, in my opinion, because, right? So what's Kevin Stefanski's motto? It's
keep it in house.
Smart, tough, smart, accountable.
Tough, smart, and accountable. We don't have smart here. We don't have accountable here. I don't know if tough applies. So we're
tough every once in a while
out of 3, right? There has to be accountability. There has to be accountability, and it's a team sport, right? Like, if this defensive back room can't come together and say we all need to do a better job instead of pointing fingers, that's a problem. There is a lot of talent in that room, a lot of potential. Grant Delpit is going through some growing pains. That is a talented player. Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson, they have an opportunity to be something special as cornerbacks in the NFL. John Johnson, I haven't figured out what's going on there. Brad, you were a big proponent of his coming from the Rams.
I was. And I admittedly said the other night on my own show that although I like him as a leader in the locker room for the most part, right? And I think that he's a good veteran presence on this team, and I think that he's a good player. I think he's been played out of position some in Cleveland. They had to play him at free safety last year. He's better when he's not really at free safety and he can kind of freelance a little bit. That's when he's at his best. But he has been underwhelming and not as advertised since he arrived. Let's be honest. I mean, let's be real. He has not played to the level that he did when he was with the Rams. Whether that's his usage or that's on him, it's the result.
I'd argue that I think he's probably better closer to the line of scrimmage in run support. Like similar to a Harrison type role. He's, like a big body safety. And I think that's why they try to put Delpit so far back sometimes. But I mean, it's just weird. I don't understand it. Ultimately,
the problem they're having right now is that they want Delpit to be that free safety, and he's struggling with the role. Yeah, let's be real. They don't have a really true free safety on this roster. Like, Delpit can do it. John Johnson can do it. but neither of them are like center fielder ideal types. Both of them
Yeah.
are physical as well. They're just guys that can do both.
Right.
Delpit has to get some time in that role, and granted, I expected growing pains, but this is not just on Delpit. This is very much on the $100 million man who seems to be in the tank the first 2 weeks, to be honest.
Yep.
Definitely a rough start there. Brad, I know you got to get going out of here. We appreciate you joining the show. You can find Brad on the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast, and you can find his work on USA Today, the Browns Wire. Brad, thank you for joining the show.
Great stuff, buddy. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure, guys. I appreciate it. Sorry I got to go here. I got a lot going on tonight, but hey, I appreciate the invite, and at any time, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
All right. So continuing on, we just guaranteed big money to a weirdo QB, tough, smart, tough, accountable, my ass. We're not asking. It's not even us. Like this fan base as a whole. We shouldn't have to ask for the basic foundation of what they're selling us. They are selling us a product before they even step on the field. And Stefanski's product is smart, tough, accountable. You take away that foundation, there's nothing holding everything else up. So if you can't be successful at a very basic level on those things, then you're gonna run into problems. It's a problem. I'm nervous about everything that's kind of going on here.
I don't like the trend, that's for sure.
Trending down for sure.
Trending. Yep.
Trending down for sure. And you know what sucks the most about this? I fully expected to not have to worry at all about this defense. I thought the interior defensive line was going to be a liability. Not so much. I thought that, we'd be average at linebacker. I'd argue we've been outstanding. Out freaking standing at linebacker. I sure as hell didn't think that we would have to be worried about our cornerbacks. Or really safeties for that matter. I thought we were set there. We could play I thought we could play at an above average level. I thought I was going to have to worry about the offense. And you know what?
Yeah.
This past week, it was complete opposite of that. Right?
A lot of people were saying this defense was going to be elite. And I even said, I think one of our early episodes together, I was like, you guys need to pump the brakes a little bit because the defense has not been consistent, so I feel it.
Absolutely. And with the offense, Jacoby Brissett impressed me. Am I backing up? I know, right? Like I will be the first to.
Can we tape that? Can we save that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. This will be saved everywhere you can find the podcast. With that being said, I don't think it's an end all be all. I had somebody come at me today and be like, "Oh, I told you so," and I was like, "This isn't a definitive." Like, I'm still skeptical, right? The breakdown we saw on the final drive, I get it. We were being aggressive. He was under pressure.
That's not on him. I mean,
it is.
Should never have been in that position.
Should have never been in that position. With that being said, I think we will see some more of that, unfortunately. And it's probably going to be at the worst times. But I got to give credit where credit's due. He played great football. As far as relative to my expectations, Jacoby Brissett did very well. Severely underthrew that last pass. I agree. And you know what? I think there's going to be some of that. And the ball's not always pretty. And it's, we preach about his efficiency and his conservativeness. The ball's not always exactly where it needs to be, but usually he can position it well enough that he's given his guys a chance. And you know what? He gave the targets to Amari Cooper this week, and it worked out very well. I am very much on the record with Amari Cooper. Is my opinion is he's a not a top 10, 15, 20 wide receiver. He might be a top 30, but he's kind of a borderline wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. Amari Cooper played very well this past Sunday, and given these targets, I think that this connection could be something that kind of gets us through this, you know, until we get to our next quarterback. He was targeted 10 times, 9 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Jacoby Brissett, 22 of 27 for 229, a touchdown, and the interception. Minus that interception, I mean, I would have been thrilled.
And I think
With
he
how
was like
played.
20 of 24 with like just 4 incompletions going into late in that game.
Right.
So, I mean,
So here's what I have to say. I'm optimistic about that. I feel good about how he played that game. My optimism is still tempered. I'm still skeptical. With that being said, let's not forget this is the Jets, right? Like we are in that part of the schedule where we were like, oh, we could go 4-0 with whoever through this, right?
he should be playing like that against the Jets.
Yes, he should be. Absolutely. Joe Flacco should not be playing like that against us, though. But Jose says they better come out and destroy the Squealers. If the fourth quarter team shows up Thursday, coach's ass is going to be getting warm. All right. So a lot of people want Joe Woods fired, right? Pre-first seat, in my opinion, is hotter than Joe Woods. I was pretty confident after this game that nothing would happen on a short week going into a primetime Thursday night game. We have a mini bye after this. If we lose to Pittsburgh and it's bad, which something could happen, which would be on brand. It wouldn't be the first time something bad happened after we lost to Pittsburgh. All right. Wouldn't be.
Yeah. I mean, if they come out and lay a goose egg on Thursday night and look absolutely terrible, let's be honest. That Steelers team is not great. They are not the Steelers teams of the Steelers team of past. They're still talented. They still have talent, but let's be completely honest. The team is not great this year. So if they come out and absolutely wipe our asses, on our home turf, it's going to be ugly.
All right. So with that, we kind of went through some of the negatives and the positives from the Jets game. I think we kind of really put a nail in that coffin. I'm ready to move on. Are you ready to move on, Ryan? Okay.
Ready. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So every week we do our City Dogs of Cleveland Dogs of the Week. We give our offensive and defensive MVPs, and we feature an adoptable dog. Those are all 3 our Dogs of the Week. So we are going to do that right now. We are the Dawgs Table, a Cleveland Browns Roundtable discussion show. Anybody can join. We will be throwing the link in the comments here in just a little bit. We are brought to you by BIGPLAY, Labatt Blue Light, and Remax Edge Realty, the JC Group. This is going to be our Dogs of the Week. Here we go. All right. So our dog of the week this week. Let me get this up on the screen. His name is Cameron. All right. Here we go. The software's running a little slow tonight, so it's got like a delay. I'm trying to match it up. This is Cameron. Cameron is a sweet, lumbering oaf. He is a lower key dog who seems to prefer the simple pleasure of hanging out with a companion. His very favorite thing is butt scratches. Though he is a strong boy, he tends to amble along easily on leash. Despite his burly exterior, Cameron has a soft side and can be sensitive about new things and big changes. He seems like the type of guy who would be happy to find his routine and settle in as a mellow buddy. He knows how to sit, shake, and seems like he is housebroken. Cameron is estimated to be around 5 years old and weighs approximately 76 pounds. This is another photo of Cameron here. There we go. And you can meet Cameron and consider him for adoption through the City Dogs of Cleveland. And that is something. If you guys need help getting a hold of City Dogs Cleveland, you're interested in finding a new companion, whether it's Cameron or another dog. The dog we featured last week's dog of the week, found a home.
Nice.
Outstanding.
Good.
So City Dogs of Cleveland is an outstanding organization. If you're considering adding a pet to your family, consider Cameron here. And you can find City Dogs of Cleveland on all the social media sites, or you can get a hold of us and we will connect you directly. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our offensive and defensive dogs of the week. Ryan, who do you got on offense?
Offense, I'm going to go with Jacoby. I think he played really well. I think he was really efficient. Like you said, like we talked about, minus the interception at the end of the game. Should have never been in that position. I don't put that on him. He's trying to make a play, underthrows a ball. It happens. But he was really good. I thought he looked very confident. He was sharp. Not every ball he throws is pretty, but he took care of the ball, did what he was supposed to do, had a couple runs for a couple positive yards. I mean, I thought he managed the game really well. So had to give my man a shout out.
All right, so I can respect that. I was impressed with Jacoby Brissett. Hopefully, we will continue to see that type of play and production from him. Like I said, I've been a critic of Jacoby Brissett. I got to give credit where credit's due. I'm not. My ego's not too big to do that. I, however, can't ignore Nick Chubb putting 3 in the end zone. He is not a stat patter. He is not selfish. He did not lose this game for the Cleveland Browns. What he did was he produced over and over and over again. And he is the epitome of what I want every Cleveland Browns player to be. Yep. I want every player to be Nick Chubb. He is that good. You know what? I might be biased because I'm a Browns fan, but I feel like right now, if you look at Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook and the premier backs in this league, nobody right now can really Nick Chubb right now to me is the best running back in the NFL. Now, I would have given some arguments to this before, but I think it's a little more clear cut now. As of right now, Nick Chubb is the best running back in the NFL, in my opinion. So I am giving him my offensive dog of the week. Who do you got on defense?
I was between 2 different guys on this one. But I'm going to go with Jadeveon. I feel like he had a really good game. Was good in the run, good against the run. Had a nice strip sack. He was pretty productive before the injury came. Can I give a honorable mention? Can I do that?
Let me give mine first in case it's the same guy. I'm going to go with JOK. I'm going to go with JOK as my honorable mention. Listen, this guy is something special. And, I tweeted out a few months back, we may not realize, but he is not a household name. After this season or during this season, he will be a household name. He's got a little bit of a challenge because it's a mouthful, right? It's not Lewis. It's not a 2-syllable last name like Ray Lewis, but he is going to be a household name. JOK is built different. And his combination of speed and strength and awareness and you put together that mental and physical aspect of the game. Phenomenal. I am so happy he's a Cleveland Brown.
Agreed.
Who's your honorable mention?
I was going to go with Anthony Walker.
Oh, okay.
I feel like he's been really good the first 2 games, and I felt like he was really inconsistent last year. I feel like he's really playing physical. He's playing great proactive football in the run game versus being reactive to run plays. I just think he stood out on some plays here and there. He's been really good with boundary plays. So, he's somebody that I think he's graded out really well. I don't know the PFF grade, but I think he's been one of the better grades on the defense, if I'm not mistaken.
He has, and Talkie has as well. If you're looking at PFF grades, Anthony Walker's been highly graded this season. JOK has been highly graded this season. Sione Takitaki has been highly graded. He's not usually included on those lists because of the snap counts.
Yeah.
But Jose saying yes, best pure running back. Yes, has been for a few years. I've argued this tooth and nail before that he suffers from a lack of volume. And if he got the same volume as Jonathan Taylor or Derrick Henry, I think he would put up better numbers than even them.
I like it though. Keep expanding his lifespan. I want him
Oh,
for as long as we can have him.
For sure. And this is why I don't want
Extending,
to or don't think they will trade Hunt, is because they're giving Nick Chubb 2 carries and Kareem Hunt 1.
Yep.
That's the way it should be split up. And that's it. Sorry. The Labatt Blue Fairy just came from the fridge. So my wife's like ducking. I don't think she realized. I think she thinks my camera.
You can see it like super wide.
Right. So she's doing.
She like crawls in and like reaches up from the depths of.
She's doing the like run under the TV while somebody's playing a video game type thing. Oh man. All right. So those are our dogs of the week, and City Dogs of Cleveland. There's Cameron one last time looking for a forever home. All right, so moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a primetime game, and the Browns are they're about as good in primetime as Kirk Cousins is, right?
They're iffy.
They're iffy. I mean, we've had some big wins, don't get me wrong. You know what I was thinking?
I'd be interested to know what the overall record is. Do you know? Can you Google that real quick?
I can Google it, but I'll never forget that game where we just absolutely slaughtered the New York Giants. Was that a Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football game? Braylon Edwards went nuts, if I remember correctly.
I want to say Monday, but I think I'm wrong.
All right, so let's see how many prime. And nope, that's apparently not an easy thing to Google. I would have to actually dig into that. Anyways, what was I getting at? All right, Steelers. Both teams are 1-1. The AFC North went 0-4 this past week. That cannot happen again. The Browns are at home Thursday night under the lights, 4.5-point favorites. The over/under is a lowly 39. What are the keys to victory here? All right. If we're going to win this game, what do we have to do on Thursday night to get this W? We'll start there.
On defense, we got to pressure the quarterback. Is Najee back? I haven't looked. Is he back from injury?
I don't know if he is for certain, but he hasn't looked good.
Okay.
I'm not under the impression that he's been ruled out for this game. In fact, I was assuming he was playing.
For us defensively, it's control the line of scrimmage. We need to shut down the run game. We need to get pressure on the quarterback. They've got Claypool, they've got Johnson, but I think that the win comes from pressure on the quarterback. And the thing that I'm concerned about is we saw in this last game when Jadeveon won out, it's a lot easier to double team Miles, and Miles kind of disappears. That concerns me a little bit moving forward. Can we get somebody opposite to him be productive? If let's say Jadeveon misses a few games, it just makes things easier for Miles. So he's got to really dominate. He's got to show up in this game. It can't be a game that he disappears in. Like I said, get pressure on the quarterback, stop the run game, win the line of scrimmage. And, they got to be aggressive. I feel like you just need to be aggressive against this team.
I'm with you there. And, to our benefit, Mitch Trubisky hasn't looked great. No. I mean, there's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going through right now, and it makes me feel so good. Is bad as this week has been, is they are going through what we've done for the past 2 decades, right? Like they are infighting about Trubisky or Pickett or Rudolph or whatever they should do, right? Like this is their Brian Hoyer, Johnny Manziel, Bruce Gradkowski argument, right? I can't even remember if all those guys were all on the same Browns team, but it's not pretty. And they beat Cincinnati. It was an ugly win. Neither of those teams really deserved. It was like who could make the game winner first because they were both missing them.
Right.
And you can also look at the fact that Cincinnati just got beat by Cooper Rush in the Dallas Cowboys. So it's not like the Steelers squeaked out a win versus the Super Bowl Cincinnati Chargers, who are a powerhouse and favorites to get back, right? So they've been not playing well. Najee Harris somebody tweeted this out, and I grasped onto it. I'm never letting it go. Najee Harris looks very Trent Richardson right now.
He does,
in my opinion. So, well, actually, in somebody else's opinion, I'm just latching myself
taking and
onto
running.
I wish I could remember who tweeted that out because I would give them credit for that, but I don't remember. Anyways, he's looking very Trent Richardson. He was a beneficiary of volume last year. This year, he's struggling with it, and people know that he's the X factor, and they're really targeting him and daring Mitch Trubisky to beat them through the air, and he is not doing it. Here's the problem. We just did that with Joe Flacco, right?
Yeah.
We dared him to beat us through the air, and what did he do?
Beat us.
He beat us. He beat us bad. He really did.
It was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. It was terrible. Jose's got some keys here. Jose says pressure with the front 4, play with a lead, limit big plays. All right. So Jacoby Brissett was hot, right? This past game until that last drive. That last drive to me is not the position I want to see Jacoby Brissett in. That is where, to me, a cautious quarterback who's trying to play conservative and efficient is going to turn the ball over, and that's what happened. I feel like we're going to go into that mode if we're playing from behind, even if it's not in the last 30 seconds of the game. I think that if we're playing behind in the third quarter, there's a potential for him to make those errors by trying to make something happen when that is against his nature. So for me, I completely agree, Jose.
Yeah.
Need to get pressure on the quarterback. I mean,
essentially that's their formula for until Watson comes back, right? I mean, they're going to be conservative. That's what you have to do when you're running a conservative game plan. So
absolutely. And, it's, if I'm not super threatened by Trubisky, but I wasn't by Flacco either. I don't know. I don't know what to think. All right. We are going to bring in here. We have Ethan Greenberg, dawgstable.com contributor. How are you doing, Ethan?
I am doing pretty well. It's been a tough week. It's been a week away from the Cleveland sports radio scene. Ouch.
Yes.
That's about as well as I could sum it up. So you're not afraid of Trubisky. I'm not too afraid of him, but if the defensive backfield takes another dump like they did on Sunday, we are in trouble because they've got receivers.
Yeah. I mean, it can be argued that any game is losable from this point forward until we see consistent play from the defense to the level that they should be playing.
Absolutely. It's rather disappointing that we're having this discussion about, as you guys very well pointed out, why are we talking about the defense? That was not supposed to be a worry coming into the season. It was supposed to be all about the offense, all about Jacoby Brissett, not about what was going on the defense. It's a sad state of affairs right there. And as Brad Ward was pointing out, or maybe it was you, Craig, about Prefer, his seat needs to be warming up too, because I'm not impressed with what he's done just in general as special teams coach. I don't know. We have lots of blunders. There's lots of guys getting good return yards on us. And it's tough scene. It is definitely a tough scene here, but you know, the positive and negative of having the short week is you don't have much time to fix anything, to fix certain things. But on the other hand, you don't have a long time to dwell on it. You got to move on. You're like, all right, enough crying over the spilled milk. Let's roll. We got Pittsburgh coming in, and we got to take care of business.
Yeah, and I mean, going into this stretch without Deshaun Watson, as Ryan alluded to earlier, like this was the formula. Play conservative, get out with a win, try not to rack up injuries, don't turn the ball over, sound fundamental football, that sort of thing. And it's really discouraging. And at this point, I have the Browns winning this game, and we can go through predictions later. I have the Browns winning this game. They're favorites in this game, but I don't think it'll be pretty, and I would not be surprised if we just completely shit the bed. Not gonna lie. So, I fully expected us to. I was telling Ryan before the show. I thought that we were coming out of Carolina with a loss. I thought that we were coming out of this week with a win. I had it backwards. I was nervous about this game. I'm very nervous. So Jadeveon Clowney, are we going to have him? I mean, he was in a boot. We're not going to have him.
He's not playing. He is not playing.
So, man.
I thought I saw something on Twitter today, and I don't know how true this is, but somebody said that Miles is partially injured as well.
He did not practice due to something about his neck.
His neck. Okay.
His neck. Well, apparently he suffered from Twitter whiplash.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. So that, there's a couple guys there. Winovich went to IR. So, I mean, are we down to Isaac Rochelle at this point? Easy guy to root for, right? Super relatable.
I think he can be productive,
but he's been productive in his career. I mean, he's never been like a Bosa, Garrett, Clowney type guy, but he's been productive. He's held his own. So that doesn't worry me too much. But Ryan, you were saying before you're worried that the Woods leans too heavily on the type of pressure and impact that Garrett and Clowney is going to have on pressuring the quarterback, and you take that out of the equation, and it's a different game.
Yeah. I mean, that's just when you watch the defense, it's the level of aggressiveness isn't there that you would like to see. Like, and it's just me personally. Like, when I watch NFL football, I want to see defenses attack, be aggressive, blitz at certain times, do this, that, and the other. And it just doesn't feel like that when you watch the Browns defense. It's like they line up 15 yards back, and I understand it's zone coverage. And like Brad said earlier, that's just what he runs. And I understand that. But at some point when you're losing games because of you're playing too soft or you're not aggressive enough and you're relying on two guys on your front seven to do everything for you, something's got to change. You have to adapt in the NFL. Sometimes things just don't work. And there's certain teams that are better defending and counter defending certain things that you do on defense. So I just don't feel like he ever adjusts anything. And that's my biggest criticism with him. It's just, I just feel like there's never an adjustment where you're just like, dang, he came out at halftime. And this is like a completely different defense. It's the same thing almost every time. So, it's just, I just don't like the level of non-aggression. And I think that's where they come off looking really soft. And, I don't know. They don't scare me.
Well, you know what, Ryan? It's the old bend but don't break mentality.
Right.
Which is just gut-wrenching.
It's so gut-wrenching. It's infuriating sometimes.
When you play bend, don't break, it's when you're up 14 points with 1:44 left in the game.
I mean...
But we broke.
Not the entire time. Like, you know what I
mean? Yeah, no, you like the, what Brad was saying earlier. Again, his philosophy is, look, you make them keep having to run 14 plays down the field. They're eventually going to make an error. whether it be a
Right.
penalty to put him behind the sticks, whether it's an interception, a fumble, etc. But, you talk about the pressure. We don't have that third guy to come in and give a blow to either Miles or Jadeveon, like we did last year for most of the season, having Tack McKinley. He was like a great find. He was a great find to have him out there.
He was available this past week
He
in
signed.
Tennessee. Was it Tennessee? I think it might have been Tennessee that signed him. Somebody
Not
did.
sure
The
who
practice
signed him, but he
squad.
did sign. You are
available.
I remember. I want to say Texans.
What's
but I
going on
don't
with
think
Joe
that's right.
Hayden? Maybe we could bring him back.
Yeah, somebody was saying earlier the number 23 we need was Sandejo. I think it's Joe Hayden. It was Jose.
Yeah, I think that
it's
there's
tough.
just this is going to be this could be a very pivotal week. We talked about, and I think most people in the media would talk about, look, if we can come out of the first four 3-1, we'd be happy about that, right?
I would be ecstatic.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be happy at 2-2. I said before the season 2-2. I'm happy because my expectations are a little lower than some.
Right. I mean, I think that you need to be 3-1 to keep on track if you hope to be above 500 by the time Watson is potentially eligible to play. If you're having to look at him to be some kind of a Superman save the day type of guy. But here, I mean, all in all, we really have to look deep into ourselves and think about the fact that it's going to be the first time stepping on the field in almost 2 complete calendar years of regular season football. He will have time on the practice field, and that's great, but those practice reps don't equate to what you see on Sunday afternoon. That being said, doesn't mean I'm not going to be rooting for him to win every week. And, we got lucky on Sunday. You know who's really lucky? Baltimore fan, because you know why? They're not talking about Baltimore blowing a 21-point lead to the Dolphins. Most people around here, everyone's, and in Cleveland, we're focused on the Browns, of course. But man, Baltimore, that's not a good look there. And Pittsburgh, quite honestly, even though it's just you worry about him because of the history. You worry about him because Mike Tomlin, he coaches well. I don't like him. They coach well. They finish above 500. Now, when they've been beaten and battered, we've been able to win, with Mason Rudolph back there or some other, backup player at the helm besides Ben Roethlisberger for over a decade. It's Pittsburgh's got an uphill battle as well. I watched some video, of course, again, as Denzel Ward was trying to point out about some of the fallacies of the Twitter defensive coordinators. Somebody posted something about Najee Harris not looking like he is having as good a vision, a la like a Trent Richardson. And they showed an example of it. And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't watched enough of him to be able to tell you one way or another. But Tomlin has a way of motivating his guys, and it's not going to be easy. But I think the Browns will have at least they should have a good game plan going into it. Control the ball, run the ball like they've done, and anything is possible. Really, anything is possible. And my philosophy is I expect nothing and hope for everything.
Fair enough. The more we're talking about this, the more in my head I'm talking myself out of picking the Browns to win this game, which sucks, right? Because we already know, we come on the show, we have to take our fan hats off, put our analyst hats on, just like when we're writing our content or doing those things. But with all the defensive issues we have going on, we have injuries, we have miscommunications, we have potential locker room rifts, we have a short week, we have a division rivalry in prime time, and we're about as good in prime time as Kirk Cousins is, and I couldn't find the stat, but I know we're not great in prime time. It just feels like we're headed into a letdown, and maybe it's my just Browns fan PTSD. I don't know, because we all have it, right?
You weren't going to like my prediction, that's for sure.
All right, we have a hard stop at 10:15. It's 10:11. Let's get into our predictions. Ryan, you have me curious now, so you're going first.
I think just the reasons that you just went over. I think Trubisky coming back to Ohio as a starter. I think that
underrated storyline.
Yeah, underrated storyline. I think the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be motivated. They are going to try to pounce on us when we're down. And they're always extremely well coached. They're always aggressive. I think the Browns lose 17-14.
17-14. All right, Ethan.
You're a little more optimistic than I am. I'm going to just be short, sweet, and to the point, because it is Pittsburgh, and we all know what they are. They are who we thought they were, and it just happens. I'm thinking 24-10 Steelers.
All right, 24-10 Steelers. I think that the Steelers cover the spread, but they don't get the win. The spread, I think, right now is at 4.5 in the Browns' favor. I'm going to go, but I'm also taking the over because the over-under is 39. I'm going to go Browns 21, Steelers 20. I think we squeak one out. I think it's ugly. I think we don't feel good about it. And, we should feel good about every win, but as Browns fans, we can't feel good about every
Browns don't win very many ugly games.
Ryan, I didn't think I'd be picking for the Browns and you picking against them after this entire offseason of how we've done the show and, all that stuff. I didn't think that I'd be picking the Browns and you would be picking the Steelers. But Skylar, thanks for tuning in. Better late than never. How are we doing tonight? We're good. We are closing out the show. Any parting words, Ethan?
I wish I had a prophecy to share with you. Just Godspeed or something like that. Live long and prosper.
Right?
There you go.
Something like that. Best of luck. Hopefully we come out better than we did last week. And, as always, go Browns.
Yeah,
go Browns.
Seeing you again.
All right. Thanks, Ethan, for joining the show. You can find his work at www.dawgstable.com. Ryan, any parting words?
No, don't get me wrong, Browns fans. I hope that we pull this out. I'm really rooting for us. I'm not rooting for us to lose by any means. I just think that we've been down this road before. It feels eerily similar to some years where we've had some significant issues in the locker room, and I just don't like the trend. I'm really hoping that they turn it around, but having a players only meeting second week of the season is not a good look. It's really not. And that does not instill confidence in me in any way, shape, or form. So here's hoping, but go Browns as always.
All right. So here's to hoping that the Browns pull out a win in Cleveland on Thursday night under the lights under a national spotlight. Let's hope that they can do it and get past their woes, and we can move. At least we can move on from this.
Oh God,
this Jets loss, right? Like this is the what do they call that? Like the words aren't coming to me, but not even a silver lining. Just like let's just move past this, right? So
yeah.
That's all we can hope for. We are the Dawgs Table. We're a Cleveland Browns Roundtable discussion show. We come to you every Tuesday at 9 p.m. We post a link in the comments part of the way through the show. You can join us, video chat with us, talk to us. It's like Twitter Spaces, but we video chat. If you don't want to video chat, you can comment on YouTube and Facebook. We interact with your Facebook and YouTube comments. We answer your questions. We talk about your thoughts. You guys kind of can even control the conversation. We are part of the Big Play Network, and we are brought to you by Labatt Blue Light and Remax Edge Realty, the JC Group. I'm your host, Craig Fountain, here with Ryan Angelo. Find us every Tuesday at 9 on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next time, go Browns.
Go Browns.